chat, Manchester no see them. Can we info, legit damn feed them.
Justra, and welcome to my channel. This channel is my personal channel. It's very separate from my business page, who I am on my business page. My professional page or in that professional environment is not who we are on this page. These are two separate people, okay? Okay, so this video, as you can tell by the title, is of course a story time. I am so ready to tell this story. It is Halloween. I'm gonna drop this video today. And I'm choosing this story because it's a little on the spooky, not really side, but it's the spookiest thing I probably have to tell right now that I can remember. I got my drink with me. I'm a New York girl at heart, so this is an ice cup. You know, Sonic got the best ice, and my laundry's done, as you can tell. But yeah, this is gonna be a story time about the time that I worked at a, let me explain. I worked at a funeral home that turned into a strip club at night. New York stuff. It's just typical New York stuff, underground stuff. So I went to a school in a troubled neighborhood, and I also went to a school for troubled kids because I just couldn't get my act together in high school. So I ended up going to an alternative school. This alternative school, let me put the drink down, hold on. So good. I have margarita. But yeah, so I went to a school that was, I guess, quote unquote, for troubled kids. So we had a bunch of programs. There was things for us to do to stay out of trouble or to motivate us to do better. For example, I think there was like a thing where if you had at least A's and B's for the first and second semester, you can go on like a field trip that's overnight. And then there was also another trip where you can go to 106 & Park, and I was able to behave my ass for, excuse me, I don't even know if we could say that. I was able to behave myself for at least those 2 semesters. So I was able to go to 106 & Park and see Bow Wow and what's her name? Megan Good. She's so pretty in person. And yeah, so anyways, they came up with this program called an internship program where instead of going to play the streets after school, or instead of getting yourself into trouble after school, we're gonna set up a program. Well, they set up a program so you would have something to do from at least like 4 to 6, and then you can go home. It like keeps you off the streets. So you had to sign up for that program. Of course, everybody didn't have to partake in it. So I signed up, and we're gonna call my friend, we're gonna call her Alyssa. So me and Alyssa signed up, and we were so excited. Like, we're like, girl, we finna get money. I remember True Religion hats was the thing, and I was like, I'm finna buy my first check. Mind you, I'm like 16. This has to matter in the story, because it like, what the fuck? So I'm like 16 at the time, and Alyssa is about probably like 15, I want to say. And Alyssa like, yeah, girl, we're gonna go sign up. We're gonna get this money. We're planning out what we're gonna do with our checks. We thinking it's about to be $500 checks or whatever, girl. So I'm like, I'm gonna buy me a True Religion hat. She like, oh girl, I'm gonna buy me these new skinny jeans and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, girl, we finna look good, whatever. So all the girls, and they allowed us to pick our assignment. Like, we just had to go out with I think like a permission slip or something like that, something of the sort. And we had to go bring it to these people, have them sign it to say it's okay for us to work here. And pretty much they're not paying us, the school is paying us. That was like pretty much what the contract stated. So all the girls are running to the beauty salons and the beauty stores and sneaker stores. The guys are running to sneaker stores, and that's what everybody wanted to do. So me and my weird little friend, Alyssa, she decided that she wanted to go to a funeral home. She's like, I went to this funeral home before, and they told me that I could work there. I just have to wait until I turn 18. So at the time, and I still am, I'm sorry if y'all see me doing this. It feels like something's on me. So at the time, and I still am, I was very into like criminal justice. Like, I wanted to be, you know, out on a crime scene taking notes. Like, yeah, that don't look right. I wanted to be bagging up stuff, you know what I'm saying? Submitting it to evidence. Like, this is the field that I thought I was gonna be in. And, you know, there's still time. I'm only like, what, 20 something. So I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, like, let's go to the funeral home. But also deep down inside, I'm a little nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, dead people. So I'm like, okay, girl, let's go. So we go. In the back of my head, I'm like, they're gonna deny us. We 16, they're not, or 15 and 16, they're not gonna let us work here. So we go into the place. We take the bus, actually. I think it was like the B44. Don't quote me. I have not been in Brooklyn for years. And it's like the B44 or whatever. And we get off our stop. We go to the location. We hyping each other up, like screaming outside the place, like, ah! We gotta walk in. We gotta act professional. We think we gotta be like, you know. So we go in and she talks. My friend did transition. Alyssa talks for us. And she's like, yeah, I spoke to you last time and you know, you said I could be here, but my school has this program, whatever. So they're like, yeah, y'all could come here after school or whatever. They signed the paperwork. They didn't really ask us too much. And it's like, can y'all work today? And I was like, well, yeah, I don't see why we can't. So me and Alyssa is excited, like we're ecstatic. So the first assignment at the funeral home, after they gave us a tour, they showed us the caskets, they showed us upstairs, the chapel. This means a lot, okay, in the story. Pay attention and keep this in mind. So they show us the chapel, which is upstairs. Like, okay, let me give y'all a visual, because I'm a visual learner, and I don't get it unless I can see it. So you walk in, the caskets are on display for you to obviously choose where you want to put your loved one. When you walk a little further down to your right is the room where you do the consultation and you figure out how much, you know, you want to pay for the funeral. You get obituaries and everything else there. You walk a little further back through some double doors. There's like a little closet where we kept the guy who did embalmment, his coats and whatever. And he had some tools in there, if I'm not mistaken. And then when you walked past that door, that's where they kept the bodies, right? So, and there's the upstairs. The upstairs is the chapel. But yeah, they kept the bodies in the back. And I seen a whole tour of the fridge. I seen people on the slab. And I was like, yeah, I could do this. They look fake. It's not that scary. Like, it's not what I thought. It was not giving what I thought it was going to give. So, our first assignment was to pull all of the ashes out of these, like, you know, like little urns, like the generic urns that you get when you cremate a loved one. It's nothing fancy, it's just like a box, and it's ashes in a box. And it's, of course, when you open it, it's like I guess you could say it's their toe tag. That makes sense. It's their toe tag around the bag where the ashes are in. So we're taking them out, and I tell y'all no lie, when I pulled one out, it was not fully closed, and it was mad dead people on my lip. But we're not gonna get into that. That's another story, because it flew everywhere. But anyways, but anyways, I was about to cry all over again because I was traumatized. Anyways, me and Alyssa, we keep going to this place after school. Every day we go, it's a new assignment. And after a while, Alyssa stops coming. I think Alyssa got all her hours for like the month or something. But I was so cool with the boss, which we're going to call her Mia. I was so cool with Mia that it's like sometimes I didn't want to go home. I wanted to go hang out with Mia at the funeral home. Like Mia and me would talk. I even slept over Mia's house. Mia was like 25 and I was like 16, but I was always mature for my age. So I could always hang out with like older crowds and it never made a difference, you know? So me and Mia would hang out at the funeral home because she's normally there by herself 9 out of 10 times, unless the guy has to embalm a body or if a bishop comes in and he has to provide us with paperwork or whatever the case may be. So I want to say I was working. It doesn't matter. This part does not matter. So Alyssa done got her hours, or Alyssa just stopped coming. It was one or the two, but Alyssa would still pop in every here and there. And me and Mia became so close, we were just always there. But the hours that I was there was from 4 to 6 every time. Like around, as soon as like 5:50 start hitting around, I start getting my stuff together, or my stepmom would be outside to pick me up, or I will call my mom so I could walk home, because I live like, I want to say probably, I'm not going to say the locations, because for legal reasons, this is all a joke. For legal reasons, this is all a joke. So anyways, this particular day, I stayed past 6 because we were just having such a good conversation. Me and Mia are like chopping it up. Like we're really talking about things that we done did in life and people that we've encountered. And the conversation is so good. And the funeral home closes around, I want to say it closed at 6 because the shutter was down. Yeah, it closed at 6. So we're talking, and you know, once the shutter closes, like business is still going on inside. Paperwork has to be done. Obituaries have to be typed up. We have to call like the graveyard center and see if there's like a lot available, because like we handle all of that in that funeral home. I'm not sure if all funeral homes are the same, but we handled everything there. So she's doing her work, and you know, we're talking, we chopping it up, and there's like a side door on the shutter. Like the shutter, it closes, it pulls all the way down, but like say my wall is the shutter and then this is the side door. Like that's a perfect example. Like it was set up just like this. So in the daytime, we'll pull up the shutter and you walk through these doors, because there's doors behind the shutter, and when you close it, we exit through this door. Whatever, because we could lock it from the inside and outside. So we're sitting down, and I hear like the door pull. No one's startled or anything, because the boss would come from time to time to check in, and the guy who picked up the bodies, which is like the boss's cousin, he'll come from time to time, and no one paid it. Like I didn't pay it any mind. Like she didn't seem startled, and we were just, you know, we just kept we continued to talk. So the way how the room is that we do all the consultations and everything is, it's kind of glass, so we can see everything. A girl walks in, and she's like kind of like not disheveled, but she looks like exotic. Like she looks exotic is not the word, because when I say exotic, I'm thinking, you know, no, she wasn't that. It was more like ghetto fabulous. That's what it was. And I'm talking long nails, hair to the butt. And she walks straight to the back to where the guy's embalming stuff was at, like his coats and everything. And I'm like, who is that? I'm thinking like, this is my boss's girlfriend or something. I'm like, who is that? She like, girl, I ain't tell you. I'm like, no, you ain't tell me. Like, who is that? So she like, wait till she leave. I'm gonna tell you. So the same time she does that, another girl walks in and they go to the back. And I'm like, girl, what the fuck going on? Oops, sorry, y'all. Sorry. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? Like, she like, girl, hold it down. I'm gonna tell you. So the girls end up walking back, and now this time they had came in. It was about, I want to say it was probably November, so it was a little chilly. So they had on like, you know, like cute little UGG boots and tights and stuff. But the time that this time now they came back around, and they were in like swimsuit material, to my little adolescent's mind. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what's going on? Like, did someone request for, like, I don't know, like, are they in the right place? Like, what's really going on? So she like, strippers. I'm like, what you mean strippers? Like, we whispering. She like, wait till they go upstairs. So they go upstairs, and you hear the chapel door shut. So she like, girl, I ain't tell you. I'm like, no, you ain't tell me, Mia. She like, oh yeah, upstairs is really a strip club. We moved all the she said at night we move all the, what do you call them, like the chairs you sit in at church, you know, like the little benches. We move them to the side and line it up against the wall, or we stack them up and we put the different chairs out there, and then our poles are like, you can detach them. I didn't know that at that time. Like, I thought all poles were like drilled into walls and whatever, but she was like, yeah, you can detach them, and you just, that looks like a wrong movement. You just spin it up into the wall, pause. So I'm like, oh, you for real? She's like, yeah, come look at their catalog. So there was like a photo album, and these girls were like skint out in the photos. I'm talking about bent over, on the poles, they on men, and these men are starting to look familiar to me. And I'm like, wait, ain't these the pastors that be coming in here? Like, ain't that the bishop? Ain't that the deacon? And she starts laughing. She's like, yeah, girl, some of these preachers and these deacons, they come to the club after hours, and the strippers, you know, they entertain them or whatever, and some of these deacons and pastors are their pimp. Girl, I was mind blown. I'm like, and listen, this story is so true. Ooh, I almost said her name. So I'm like, Mia, I'm like, Mia, are you for real? Like, this is real life? And she's like, yeah, girl, this is what they do. And one of the pastors / pimps done got at least 2 of them pregnant. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is sick. And you know how true it is? I don't know if I could say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway, because what y'all gonna do to me? I live in Houston now. Catch me if you can. But, and y'all, this is makeup. I was playing in makeup before I came on camera. But God rest her soul in peace. She passed today, and she's a fellow New Yorker. You know, I'm not even gonna say her name, but she passed today, and it was so sad because I was really like, oh my gosh, like she reminded me of the story time because she's famous in New York. She went viral. She was also one of the known strippers at this club, and it was about like 5 or 6 strippers, and I'm not talking about strippers that you would go to like G5 or The Office or V Live and see like beautiful, you know, not even natural body or body done. It doesn't matter however your body is. We're all body positive around here. But it was just like, they were like skinny, smoked out. And when I say skinny, I mean smoked out. Like, please don't cancel me. I'm talking about like, they looked on the anorexic side, like hungry side. Like they looked very sick, like they needed help. So she was like, anyway, so I'm looking, I'm like, girl, these pastors really be coming here? And I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, if we being really real, one of the pastors was one of the, like, okay, we're not gonna get into that, y'all. It's too much. Remember, this is all a joke for legal reasons. So she's like, yeah, girl, it's a strip club upstairs, whatever. And the pastors, they be pimps, and they be getting these girls pregnant, and they be sending them out to go work or whatever. So I'm like, what the hell? Like, are you for real? Like, they not scared that these spirits gonna come upstairs and choke their ass for doing all these sins? Like, people, loved ones is really downstairs and y'all really doing this. Like, so at first I'm like, nah, that's really weird. But I was also curious. I'm like, I wanna see. She's like, no, you can't see, whatever. As the time goes on, I'm starting to get real close with Mia, like real close. Like I spent the night at Mia's house. Mia took me to get my first tattoo, and I'm gaining face with Mia. Like, and I'm seeing the girls. I'm not talking to them or anything, but like some of the men that come in, like my boss's friends or the pastors will say hello and they go upstairs. So one day Mia was like, you want to make some extra money? I'm like, yeah, I don't mind making some extra money. She's like, if you stay till like 12, you can do the drinks upstairs. So I'm like, okay, cool, because I want to see what's going on. Actually, I lied. She showed me upstairs once. There's like, you know, the LED lights that go, like you put around your room and stuff. They had some going up the stairs. And in the day, it was like white lights. And then at night, they'll make them flicker. So it was like green, yellow, orange, red. And that went all the way inside the room. So she took me up there one time and I saw it, and all the chairs were moved to the side, and there was 2 poles. It was one close to the door and one closer to like, normally where someone would set up their music if there was a funeral going on. I didn't know no better, I was young. So that's what we turned into they turned into the bar. So, like I said, she offered me to make some extra money if I wanted to, because she knew that, like, I mean, I lived with my dad at the time. He was never really home because he was always working and doing his music. My stepmom would be home, but she's not, like, stunting me. Like, in her eyes, you know, I'm a little on a grown or mature side, so she wasn't, like, hassling me, like, where you at, what you doing? And my mom was also out of town in Florida working at the time, so no one was really watching me. So I'm like, yeah, I could stay out till 12. I'm going to just tell my dad I'm working a little later. And I did that. I texted my dad and my stepmom. So I went upstairs, and people start coming in or whatever, and they playing music and they blowing it down in there. Like the whole place is lit. Like they smoking cigarettes, they smoking, you know, and it's just like a whole vibe. Like music is playing, and at this time I'm forgetting that I'm in a funeral home. Like I'm vibing. I'm like, oh my God. You know, and I'm just behind the bar and I'm, you know, rocking, and people coming up and they ordering like rum and cokes. This was my first bartending job. I forgot to tell y'all, that was a job assignment, like to just serve drinks. I don't know if I said that or not. So like I'm upstairs and I'm serving the drinks. I need a sip because it's about to get juicy. Okay, I'm serving the drinks. These people are ordering like rum and coke, or what was another drink that I made that night? I know rum and coke was a famous one. I come from a Caribbean household, so I remember that drink. I'm used to my family drinking rum and water or rum and milk. Like rum and coke was like, to me, it was like, what the hell? Like, ew. So I was making them kind of drinks, and it was like serving them in like plastic, you know, like the plastic cups that if you like go like this, they gonna bend, like they clear. So I'm serving up them drinks. People are tipping me. People asking me like, yo, I'm like, yeah. They giving me free stuff, and I'm like behind the bar. Oh, what you need? Oh, okay. And I'm, so I'm thinking I'm lit. I'm still 16 at this time, y'all. Oh, and I don't know if I told y'all, the way I was able to work in this funeral home is because I was an intern. So pretty much they think I'm shadowing, but I was actually like helping out Mia with like obituaries. Like we would Google like Bible verses, or I would, if she were to ask me like, hey, can you look at this casket and tell me what this says? Or can you come to the back with me and open the bag and like tell me what the toe tag is? Like I was doing all of that. Here, I would help Mia with, and then from time to time we would do makeup, like sometimes. So I was actually working in this funeral home. Mind you, while this party is going on upstairs, it's like 5 or 6 bodies downstairs. God. There's like 5 or 6 bodies downstairs, and they are having a time of their life upstairs. And I done forgot that we was at where we were supposed to be at, because all the crosses had them came down. And these bishops are disgusting. They came in their suits, girl. I'm talking about they 3-piece suits, and they were gross. Like they had girls sitting on their lap, cupping their booty, and I'm just like, oh my God. So I done left for that night. It ended, or I think I went home early. I'm like, okay, I gotta go now, because it started rolling over until like 1 o'clock. So I'm like, I gotta go now. So I called no, I didn't call my mom. I probably called my friend or something, and I'm like on my way home, like walking to my house. And I'm like shook, like and I always have like, I like big hair. So I want to say I had like crochets that resemble this. And I remember like smelling it, like, oh my gosh, I smell like smoke. Because at this time, my parents did not know that I was smoking. They had speculations. My dad would tell my mom, like, I know she's smoking. But my mom be like, ain't no way, my baby is not smoking. Girl, I've been smoking for years. At that time, I don't smoke anymore. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I stink like smoke. I'm gonna have to walk past everybody. I smell horrible. So like, I'm outside and breeze is blowing because it's a little chilly. And I had like a pink perfume in my bag. So I'm like walking, and like, I'm literally just doing this. Like as I'm walking home, like I got a couple of ways to go. So I'm like a couple blocks. So I'm like just spraying. I'm shaking my hair. I'm spraying my hair. I'm going like this. Like I'm trying my best to smell good. So I go inside the house. Luckily, my dad wasn't home as of yet. And my stepmom, my little brother, and my little sister was like in their rooms. So I got in the shower. Like as soon as I came in there, I ran straight to the shower. I tied my hair up and I showered, and then I put my clothes deep down in like the dirty clothes basket because it smelled like smoke. So long story short, I became so cool with Mia that this would be like a regular thing. Like I'm not saying that I was up there serving drinks all the time, but from time to time I would be like, okay, can I chill with y'all? And she's like, yeah, come upstairs. And then, I would vibe with them. And then like Mia ended up getting a boo thing out of like my boss's friends clique. So he would come upstairs and she would chill with him, and it was like a little vibe. And at the time, I'm 16. I'm like, I don't really see what I was doing wrong. But now that I'm older, I think I had told a coworker this when I was like 20. And she was like, Tori, that is sick. And I'm like, it is. It's very sick. And God, I'm sorry. But at the time, I didn't know no better. So, well, I did. I had sense. But yeah, so like I don't think I told Alyssa any of this while I was there, because I felt like it was like some top secret stuff. But eventually I ended up telling Alyssa what was going on, and Alyssa would come around more because she obviously wanted to see what was going on and what was happening. But because Alyssa at the time was gay, and there were men there that were like homophobic, weird, she wasn't allowed to like be upstairs or whatever, because they made it like a big thing or whatever. So it would always be me and Mia. And that went on for, I want to say like a year and a half. I think that's how long I stayed there. And then I ended up like leaving and going to Florida to go live with my mom. That's another story for another day. But yeah, like that's the story time about that's the story time about the funeral home that was also a club, a strip club at that. And the pastors and the deacons was running it. And like, it was sick. I have more stories about this funeral home. I could probably make this a series, but this is the only thing that came to mind when I saw they posted that that young lady lost her life, or she was called to God too soon. And I was like, oh my gosh, like rest in peace, my love. But you just revamped something in me that I tried to close out. because I was originally supposed to come on here and tell you a story about my backstabbing best friend. But I'm going to save that for next Monday. No, yeah, I'll do Sundays. I'll do every Sunday like I do on my business channel. So if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, share this video. You can DM me on Instagram at The Magistra, or The Real, I think it's The Real Magistra. I think I updated it last night. The Real Magistra, and give me ideas. The next video might be like a get to know me Q&A, because I did ask, so I took a poll and I asked some questions on, like what can I do for my next video? Give me ideas, and some of you guys did, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, this is just like the beginning of the funeral home catastrophe. We'll get into more of that later, and thank you guys for watching and tuning in.
Over beef and silly allegations that they made, but luckily all that bullshit I escaped. I learned a lesson. No money made, hard times so depressing. Me